love that comes through as a guide is like no other love. We talk about parent love and we talk about, oh, your soulmate love or whatever it is, but like the love of a guide is like nothing else. When you meet somebody that you're meant to initiate, it's like a connection that you can't describe.
Hi, I'm here with Laura Persichetti. She is a fellow guide with the Modern Mystery School, and I'm excited for her to join today. We're going to be talking about what does it mean to be a guide and what does that look like in the day-to-day. And we're going to get into some of the maybe behind the scenes look of this path that we're both on. Laura, thanks for being here. I'd love for you to just share a little bit more about yourself and what brought you to being a guide. What drew you to this path and this choice that is, like I said, it's not the most common choice that people make to follow a path to be a guide, but it's definitely something that is an adventure. And I would love to hear what brought you to this path.
Yeah, it's definitely not one of the choices that we get told when we're learning about choices and, oh, I'm going to be a nurse or I'm going to be a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer. A guide is not on the option list. It's definitely not something I woke up one day and was like, oh, I want to be a guide. It found me. It found me. And first, the path found me. I thought I found the path, but I think in reality, it found me and helped me find myself. So when I first came to Empower Thyself, it was 8 years ago now. And when I sat in that class, I felt like all of the things that I wondered about, all of the things that I thought about or questioned were tangibly explained in the language that I never heard before. I felt like I was sitting in a place that just I could rest in. Like it felt like a sense of connecting to a sense of home. And it was so profound and so life-changing in ways that I still don't know how it was. I just know that it was important. It was an important milestone in my life. And even when I took Empower Thyself, I never thought, oh, I'm going to teach this. But what I did know is that I wanted to learn more and I wanted to explore more. And I continued learning other classes and continued on the path. And at first it was for me, like when I first came to the mystery school, it was a secret to me. Like I didn't talk about it. I was working on a project. It was a good deeds project. And I had this vision that I was going to change the world with one good deed at a time. And that was going to create world peace. And so there's no surprise that I found a school that had a mission of world peace. But I didn't talk about it at first. I just felt like it was really intimate. It was really special to me. And I had to go through a process. And I think it wasn't until I did Ritual Master where I was like, everybody needs this. The pendulum just swung to this other side. And I was like, I just wanted to share it with everybody. And I sometimes reflect on those days and like, maybe I shared a little bit too much in the sense of like, everybody needs to do it and you give people space. But then I eventually leveled out. And when I got to guide, I felt like I could relax. And it's really funny to think like that because there's a lot of work to being a guide, but I felt like I was going after something. And then when I finally received guide initiation and had that in my box of tools, you could say, oh, this is what I was reaching for. And having the opportunity to teach a class that was so profound to me was truly a gift. And it is a gift every single time I teach that class and watch how the tools and the modalities and the teachings, they come into those 2 days. But how it unfolds after for each individual is such a beautiful experience to be a witness to. And I could never have planned that if I tried. So I really feel like the guide path found me, but that's where I really felt the most myself was when I started doing guide work.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing your story. And I think for myself too, I started on this path for myself and my own healing. And I was searching for that peace. And what led me to the guide path was also, it's like, this did so much for me. I wanted to share it. I wanted to share it with everybody because everybody could benefit from having these tools. And so that's, I think, a common thing with people who are on this path is they get that fire within them because it shifts so much and it can be so transformative that it's something that is so powerful to share to other people. And then as a guide, you have the honor to be able to open the door for people to step onto this path and to receive these tools. And there's just nothing better than seeing that transformation happen for somebody and to be able to be a part of it. That's really what inspires me every day, is that aspect of service, of being able to share something that can truly profoundly have an impact in like foundational shift for people. And that was, for me, it wasn't just about feeling good for a little while. It was a foundational shift in my life. And I think, like you said, like people, we're not told about this. We're not aware of it. It's not like I'm going to school to be a guide is part of my, growing up. I even had that in my awareness, but I wish we did. I wish we had more of this in our awareness from a younger age, because it's such a powerful aspect to have, are these spiritual tools that we can use in our daily life. And so thank you for sharing your experience.
Yeah, I think it's innate in us to want to share something good. Even if it's pizza. I just went to an amazing pizza place today and I can't wait to share it with people. Like, oh, I got to try this pizza place. Like, it's just when we find something that brings us joy or something that makes us feel good, it overflows and we just want to share. But when you find something that is so, like you said, foundational change, like it's lasting change. It's not just, oh, you felt good that weekend. It's a shift that continues and unfolds. And there's no going back to who you were afterwards. It's like you get to keep growing and learning in a way that is tangible. Like you see the fruits of it in your life. And I think that's where it really gets exciting.
Okay. Yeah. So I'd love to hear, what would you say, just a little bit more of what does it mean to be a guide? What is a guide? If you could share a little bit more of that, and what does that look like day to day, the life of a guide?
Oh, that's a great question. So, when you step into being a guide, you step into a new level of teaching. Like you're literally teaching really important, not just tools and practices, but like foundational teachings in the lineage. And if you notice, you do Empower Thyself and then you do other classes and everything starts to build on it. So it's like, it's the foundation. So for me, I felt like I stepped into this role of a teacher, but I've never felt like more like a student when I first became a guide. Like I felt like I went into this space of like a little kid learning something completely new. And I wasn't anticipating that part. Like I was not anticipating the level of humbleness you need to have to be able to embody these teachings. And I was really, I always taught, like I was comfortable in teaching, but I never felt more uncomfortable teaching than when I started doing Empower Thyself, because I had to start to embody these teachings. And I don't think it's never really talked about, that you have to go through some sort of process to embody this. But to me, I feel like being a guide isn't just service. It's about integrity. You have to hold the light in your life. You can't talk about fulfillment and joy and empowerment without actually embodying that, because people can smell that from a mile away when you're not in alignment. And when so much light comes in, you can see where the shadows are. And I just think before I came to the mystery school, I trained in Kundalini yoga teachings, and I'm a Kundalini yoga instructor. And I'll never forget, I was, as a student learning, the teacher at the front of the room was miserable. It was early in the morning. He was miserable. He was teaching us. He just seemed so angry. And I'm like following the practice, but I'm thinking to myself, like, what is like, this guy is talking about peace and embodying peace and light, and he's just miserable. Like, what the hell? That I had all this judgment come up and I was irritated by him. And then I realized I was in this process where like all of that flushed out, and I had to just come to a place of acceptance and letting go. And all of a sudden I just came to this place of love and appreciated him. At the end of the class, I went up to him and I said, I just want to thank you, because I went through such a process in your class where I was like so irritated and angry at you. Then I got through the other side and I just felt so great. And I, articulated this to him. And the only thing he said to me was, one day you're going to be at the front of the room and the light's going to shine on your shadows. And he pretty much just said, remember this kind of thing. And I think that's really, when you're a guide, you're doing your best all the time to bring the light and to embody the light, but you're always working on becoming brighter, I guess. And so I think before I became a guide, I had a lot of judgment on like, oh, it's got to look like this and I'm going to do this. And like, why don't you do this? And why don't you do that? And blah, blah, blah. All this like just opinion. And then I realized like, oh, like you have to embody this. You have to integrate this into your life. And integrity is so important to be able to implement healthy choices that are healthy mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, to be able to speak the foundational tools and be able to introduce people to that. It's a lifestyle. You don't just teach that on a weekend and think like you got it. Like you have to implement this as a lifestyle in everything you do. So to be a guide is like you are always a guide. You're never not a guide. That light's always flowing through and showing you where you need to grow, showing you where you need to stretch, and also showing you how to be in alignment to peace, how to be in alignment to joy, how to be in alignment to love. And it doesn't matter what they do, the love is always there because you're holding that line for them. And it's really, really special. So there's a lot to being a guide that's not talked about. We think it's just like, oh, yeah, now I can teach Empower Thyself and now I can initiate and la, 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 la. And it's like, no. Like it's about stepping up in your life on all levels so that you can embody the teachings, and that when the teachings come through you, it's in alignment and the people that you're teaching feel that.
Yeah, very true. And I love that you brought up that piece of integrity because that's so key. And that's really what inspired me to move forward with the mystery school after the first class that I took, as I saw that in the person who was sharing Empower Thyself with me. And I see it as I've continued on the path and all of the instructors that I've had the honor to learn from. And I thank you for sharing, and to be able to share this path with you and with other people who, it's not about being perfect, but it's about striving towards being that best self and to bring in the light and to embody it as much as possible. And like you said, it's an ongoing lifestyle. It's a commitment that not to be perfect, but to strive towards that in our lives. And I'm just grateful to walk the path with others who are also on this journey and to be able to share that experience.
It's so true. It's so true. Like the light is so pure and you feel that, like I'll never forget sitting even in Heroes Academy and like there's different teachers, but the purity of the light coming through, I was like, oh, this is like nothing else. This is not an event. This is an experience of, that's so profound.
Yeah. Yes. And that's part of the lineage. That's part of the magic of having a lineage tradition, that it's such a finding something so precious and special to have come across this path and to be able to be a part of it. And that's also something every day, the honor to teach and to be able to share. It's just, like you said, we learn so much just by, continuing to share the tools is a learning process every time I teach a class. So the light comes in and new awareness, new integrating of that into my life. It's transformational for me as well as for the people that I have the honor to share with.
Yeah, it truly is an honor. It's an honor to come across the path in all ways, and an honor to be a teacher and a guide 100%.
Well, thank you so much for sharing and for this opportunity to connect. If you are watching this and you would like to know more about the path within the Modern Mystery School, you can comment below and I'll connect you with a guide near you who can support you and share these tools with you.
Amazing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. Well, thanks so much.
There's a fire